Inside the fitting room, I caught John Doe passionately kissing his junior. She was wearing my wedding dress, the skirt hiked up to her waist. John smirked with satisfaction, wanting some excitement before marriage. Care to join? Days later, bored with the junior, he joked. How's my baby doing? Haven't slept with anyone else. Right. He confidently told friends. Lucy Smith is crazy about me. Wouldn't dare mess around. Little did he know, elite players love pretending to be love-struck. At that moment, I was in bed, forcing out a reply. Only you can make me sleep. He kept me up all night. David Brown impatiently snatched the phone behind me. There's no one else. We're all family here. That day, John nearly broke down David's door when I pushed open the fitting room door. The junior was draped over John in my wedding gown. John was panting heavily, fresh hickeys blooming on his neck. The scene was pure chaos. The junior spoke first. Sorry, Lucy. I stained your dress. Blame John. I didn't want to wear it. But he said it'd feel better. Fighting nausea. I looked at John, gripping her waist. He smiled smugly. Lucy Smith. We're getting married soon. A little pre-wedding thrill isn't too much. Right. Messing around in a fitting room was certainly thrilling. Staring at my shoes, I stayed silent. John coaxed. If you're feeling jealous, you should try it too. I hummed and walked out. As I left, the junior giggled. Aren't you scared she'll find another man? Watching my retreating back, John declared. Not worried. Lucy's devoted. Only has eyes for me. I stopped at the counter, told the clerk the dress was soiled. I wouldn't take it. Nestled in his arms, the junior gloated. John, she won't marry you now. Guess you're stuck with me. Then I pointed to a satin gown. I'll take this one. Next time, don't let anyone else wear it. The clerk glanced at the fitting room pair, then at me. Her tone was polite, but her eyes held pity mixed with disdain. The junior gasped. She's tolerating this. John's lips curved triumphantly. Told you Lucy's obedient. She can't let me go. Well, end this after the wedding. I want to cherish her properly. I dragged my feet out of the store. Posted a moment. My heart shattered into a QR code. Scan it and it still says I love you. Then pivoted to meet Jane Taylor at our usual bar. Steps suddenly light. John never knew elite players like me excel at faking obsession. Lounging on the sofa, a cute puppy fed me drinks while a muscular hunk massaged my shoulders. Jane Taylor clutched her chest dramatically. Do you know everyone calls you John's doormat? Freshman year, you begged for his contact, pestered him daily. He blocked you. Yet you claimed red meant passion, wanted marriage. Sophomore year, he ignored you. So you renamed him typing in your contacts. Junior year, he needed blood after a crash. You knelt, sobbing, begging doctors to drain yours. Lucy, you're the ultimate doormat. I blinked, sipped the drink offered by the boy, and patted his head. What choice? His family's loaded. Dad said no marriage to John Doe. No company shares. Just then, the private room door swung open. A man in a black shirt and trousers walked in. Gold-rimmed glasses perched on his face. His physique was impeccable: broad shoulders, a narrow waist, and a perfectly sculpted backside, with legs that seemed longer than my entire life. I couldn't help but wonder how it would feel to straddle him. The dim lighting obscured his features, but the atmosphere was electric. Exactly my type. A gentleman with a dark edge. Pointing to the buckle on my black stiletto, I lifted my leg slightly and commanded lazily, "Fix this for me." He paused, then slowly knelt on one knee, fumbling as he fastened the strap. He looked almost reverent submissive. Even, a newbie. Then, I traced the tip of my shoe along his Adam's apple, forcing his chin up. His throat bobbed, and our eyes locked. Sharp jawline, piercing eyes. A tall, straight nose dotted with a single red mole. HSSSS. Jane Taylor and I both sucked in a breath at the same moment. After recovering, she gasped, "He's gorgeous." My own gasp left me trembling, legs weak, on the verge of collapse. The man before me was John's brother David Brown, scion of the Brown family. His hand closed around my ankle, icy fingertips grazing my wrist bone. "Sister," he murmured, voice like chilled steel, "did you enjoy my service?" I shrank back into the couch. "MMR. Brown. I'm sorry. I didn't realize it was you." But his grip tightened, trapping me. "So if it were someone else," he said coolly, "you'd have your way." Suddenly thoughtful, he pulled out his phone and scrolled through my social feed. Yesterday's post. "Who's a simp?" He calls me his quirky girlfriend. The day before. Evening. The rain's finally stopped. Wind gone. Rain gone. Pedestrians gone, just me stuck in the guard booth. Missing him non-stop. 3 days ago. Quit the screw factory. Boring. Gonna be a welder now. Maybe sparks will make him notice me. A lazy smile curved David's lips as he pinned me to the sofa, my ankle still in his grasp. "Sister, do you think John knows how wild you get behind his back? Should I enlighten him?" For the first time, I felt the money slipping through my fingers. Tears welled instantly. "Please," I begged, voice thick with desperation. "Don't tell him." David chuckled softly, tilting his head to brush his lips against my ankle. "Fine. But silence comes at a price." He guided my hand to his abdomen, teeth tugging open a button to reveal sharp collarbonus, elegant yet feral. "Kiss me, and I'll keep your secret." He leaned in, his mouth hovering a breath away from mine. One slight tilt of my head would seal it. I turned away. "This is immoral." "Says who?" he countered, tongue flicking over his lower lip, staining it crimson. One touch. That's all it takes. Just as I scrambled for an escape, my phone rang. David glanced at the screen. "Sister, aren't you answering?" The ringtone told me everything. "John." I tried hiding it, but David swiped accept first. John's husky voice filled the silence. "Lucy, I ordered your favorite cake. It'll be delivered soon. Say you love me." "You haven't today." David frowned, staring daggers at me, lips grazing my ear as he whispered, "Don't say it. I won't allow it." "Lucy." John pressed, impatience edging his tone. The money mattered more. Nothing else did. I steeled myself. "John Doe. I love." Before I could finish speaking, David Brown suddenly grabbed the back of my head and leaned down. The call was still connected. John was waiting for me to speak. I was so scared I didn't dare make a sound. Tightly clenching my teeth, David seemed a bit dissatisfied, pinched my waist, and I groaned in pain, my voice so soft I couldn't believe it myself. When I came to my senses, my teeth were pried open, and my ears were filled with the sound of kisses. "Lucy, why aren't you talking?" John, experienced in romance, sensed something wrong. "What's that sound over there? Who are you with now?" David was kissing while still having the energy to distract himself. "Lucy. Tell him we're kissing so hard our lips are about to fall off." But I was panting too hard and couldn't answer him. "Lucy. Let's video call." John finally couldn't sit still. "Now. Immediately. Right away." He hung up the phone directly and sent a video request. David picked up the phone, the screen facing us. "Lucy. Come on. Look at the camera." My cold sweat instantly broke out, and I quickly grabbed David's wrist, trying to stop his action. But it was too late. Just as David was about to answer, luckily, the phone ran out of battery and automatically shut down. The screen turned black, reflecting me and David at that moment, close together, noses touching, breaths mingling. It looked completely ambiguous. He seemed a bit regretful, tucked my stray hair behind my ear. "Lucy. Do you need me to charge it for you?" I snatched the phone, steadied my breathing. and forced myself to calm down. David, we've kissed just now. I hope you can keep your word and help me keep the secret. Without waiting for his answer, I quickly adjusted my expression, pretending to be sad. The reason I'm like this today is because I saw John kissing an underclass woman at the bridal shop. I was so heartbroken that I came to this kind of place. I'll never come again. Ha! How could I not come? This is my happy place. After hearing this, David's face darkened, and his hand around my waist loosened a bit. Does he not believe me? Is he going to tell John? His brows furrowed, his jawline becoming sharper. Lucy Smith. He's playing with your feelings like this, making you spin around. Why do you still want to marry him? It seems David indeed doesn't believe my excuse and is testing me for John. I looked directly at the spotlight in the private room, trying to make my eyes shine when talking about John. I'm not being spun around. Spinning is my hobby. I have my own plans. After saying that, I immediately got up from his embrace, hugged the phone, and ran off. This is torturous love. You wouldn't understand. After leaving the private room, I still felt a tingling on my lips from David's biting. I thought John would blow up my phone, and I was planning how to explain. But when I opened my phone, he only sent one message. Don't stay out too late. Rest early, or I'll worry. Later, remember to get the cake. You two eat it together. I was stunned. After knowing John for so many years, I never knew he liked being cheated on. I stared at the chat box for a while, confirmed I hadn't misread, and called Jane Taylor, who had already run off. How could John like being cheated on? It doesn't seem like him. Wake up. Lucy Smith. Kissing David once messed up your brain. You didn't answer the phone. John called me immediately. I said you were at my place. The company suddenly called an online meeting, and you were holding the computer in a meeting. I hesitated. Didn't he say the sound over there was strange? He did. Jane snorted coldly. I said I was projecting a Japanese adult film and the sound was playing out loud. And he believed it. Yeah, Jane said matter-of-factly. He believed it. He said you love him to death. And even if he told you to find another man outside, you wouldn't dare. Oh right. There was a girl on his side urging him, saying she had already taken off her clothes and asking him to hurry up. Then he hung up the phone. I fell silent for a moment. Suddenly, I felt that my persona was set really steady, since I had a weakness in David Brown's hands. I tried my best to avoid him, but unexpectedly, just a few days later, I met David again, and the location was quite embarrassing. The new acquaintance I made a few days ago was a horse riding coach. He didn't have good sales recently, out of the spirit of helping others. I bought his private lessons. The guy was also very dutiful, teaching me hand in hand. Keep your back straight, bend your knees, and place your arms on the saddle. Wow, Lucy's arm lines look so beautiful. This angle is great. The sun is shining right on your face. Come on. Let me take a photo of you. Lucy. I chatted and laughed with him, starting from horse riding, then chatting about poetry and songs, and finally talking about the philosophy of life. Just then, a cold voice came out at the most inopportune time. Did Lucy come here to learn horse riding or to flirt? As soon as I heard this voice, the smile on my face froze instantly. I had no choice but to turn around stiffly and said, "What a coincidence. Mr. Brown is here too." He was wearing a white t-shirt today, paired with gray drawstring sweatpants. He looked fresh and clean, very much like a young man, but I was in no mood to appreciate it. I was eager to put some distance between me and the guy behind. So I hurriedly dismounted the horse. Unfortunately, I got the posture wrong. I twisted my body and fell down. Not only did I fall flat on my back, but I also sprained my foot. In the end, David picked me up around the waist and took me to his private room. As he lifted my leg and put an ice pack on my ankle, he asked me with a half smile, "Lucy, did John hurt you again this time?" That's why you came here to flirt with others. Right. Since he had paved the way for me. Of course. I had to go along with it. Yes. But before I could finish, David interrupted me. If you really need someone to keep you company, why not choose me? The short bangs fell slightly, covering his eyes and eyebrows. The sunlight was just right, gilding his hair with a faint layer of gold. His voice was soft, with a touch of complaint, and perhaps a hint of pleading. I stared at him in shock. When our eyes met, within just 2 seconds, the tips of his ears turned a light shade of pink. Suddenly, David reached out and pulled me onto his lap. He took my hand and pressed it against his chest, under my palm. His heart was pounding like a drum, and the air suddenly became sweet. Just then, there were 2 knocks on the door. David, are you in there? I'm here to give you a wedding invitation. This was John's voice. Instantly, my back stiffened. To make matters worse, David calmly replied, "The door isn't locked. Come in directly." The doorknob began to turn. I panicked and looked around, trying to find a wardrobe to hide in, but David wouldn't let me go. He tightly held my waist, not giving an inch. "Lucy, where do you want to go?" As soon as he finished speaking, the door opened, and John walked in. There was nothing blocking his view. With one glance, he saw me in David's arms. Fortunately, I had my back to him, and my long hair fell down, so John couldn't see my face. Afraid of being recognized, I grabbed David's sleeve and buried my face deep in his chest. The way I dressed today at the horse riding club was different from my usual style. Just from the back, John might not recognize me, as long as David was willing to cooperate. There was a chance we could get away with it. I whispered and pleaded with him. "Please." David didn't say a word. Instead, his warm palm pressed even tighter against my waist. John clearly didn't expect such a sight inside. After a brief moment of stunned silence, he said awkwardly, "David, sorry. I didn't know there was someone else in here." "It's okay." His eyes landed on me, filled with a strong sense of curiosity. After a while, John Doe finally spoke. "They say you're not interested in women. After all these years, this is the first time I've seen you bring a girl along. Is this Lucy? She looks pretty." David Brown held me tighter and teased in my ear. "Lucy, do you want to turn around and let him see how you look now?" "No." I refused repeatedly. "But Lucy, you look so beautiful right now. Are you really not going to let him see?" I lowered my head further. "David Brown, I only want to bury myself in your arms right now. Not do anything else." David Brown seemed pleased by that last line, the corner of his mouth curling up. "Then I'll help you. Lucy, remember to give me a little reward later." He looked up with a smile, casually pulling a thin coat to wrap around me. "It's rare to meet someone I like. I don't want to miss out. But she's quite shy. I'll introduce you all when the time is right." John Doe didn't press further and placed the wedding invitation on the table. "I'm getting married next month. Buddy, remember to grace us with your presence." David Brown glanced at the gilded invitation, stroking my hair absently. "Planning to marry Lucy Smith?" "Yeah. Lucy has a good temper, a docile personality, never cries or fusses, and doesn't go out partying. I really like her." When John Doe praised me, it always revolved around docile, his vocabulary utterly limited. He didn't mind my presence and even advised David Brown, "Buddy, date who you want. But if you're serious about marriage, you should find a girl like Lucy." David Brown looked down at me, his thumb stroking my cheek. I do want to." John Doe didn't think much and kept agreeing. David Brown asked him, "How come I heard you've been getting close with a junior female student lately? So you want to try a junior too?" "Buddy." John Doe misunderstood, thumping his chest. "I'll help you find one later and introduce you to the pretty ones." "No need." Right in front of John Doe. David Brown lifted my chin and pressed a kiss to my forehead. It was gentle yet burning. I don't like any juniors. I only like Lucy. He emphasized the last word, though it was unclear if he meant it generally or specifically. His kisses drifted lower, landing on the tip of my nose, light as feathers, bringing a ticklish flutter. The atmosphere suddenly heated up. I stared at a spot on the gray sweatpants, feeling my face flush crimson. David Brown looked up impatiently and asked John Doe why he hadn't left yet. John Doe snapped out of it. Well, you two carry on. I won't disturb. He thoughtfully closed the door behind him as he left. Once John Doe was gone, David Brown suddenly changed his demeanor, looking down at me like a puppy begging for scraps. Lucy, I just helped you hide it. Now I want a thank you gift. What? He bit his lower lip lightly. If he ever hurts you. Lucy, could you not go to someone else? Come to me. Okay. I stared blankly at David Brown. For a moment, I thought he'd lost his mind. A prince of the elite circle acting all innocent and manipulative. What was he after? Had a normal life become too boring? So he wanted to spice things up by playing dirty like a rat in the gutter, with his handsome face wearing that submissive, pitiful expression. My heart suddenly skipped a beat. When I didn't answer, David Brown fixed me with puppy dog eyes, wet and pleading, and repeated, "Come to me." Okay. Helplessly, I nodded. Fine. I'll come to you. David Brown smiled, his eyes crinkling, and nuzzled my shoulder. Then it's a promise. I figured since I was about to get married and register the certificate, I wouldn't have to worry about him holding anything over me once I got the shares. But things didn't go as planned. John Doe suddenly notified me that the wedding wouldn't happen this year. For me, this news was like a bolt from the blue. For the first time ever, I genuinely teared up on the phone with John Doe. Why weren't the invitations already sent out? The Brown family inexplicably sent over some master. The master insisted our wedding date was unlucky, saying it would lead to marital discord and career setbacks later. My dad always believes in that stuff and refuses to let me go through with it. Then just pick another date. Why cancel it altogether? John Doe sighed. The master read my palm and warned me not to marry this year, or there'd be a disaster of being cheated on. Green light disaster. I've heard of the ill omen of bloodshed, but never a green light disaster. What on earth is that? Lucy Smith thought to herself. David Brown clearly hadn't heard of it either. Anyway, it's a kind of disaster. The master refused to say more. In short, as soon as my dad heard about it, he told me not to get married and get the marriage certificate this year. So, would her life as an infatuated admirer have to continue for at least another year? Lucy suddenly felt that life was incredibly dull. John Doe was still consoling her. Lucy, it's okay to postpone. It doesn't really matter whether we have that marriage certificate or not between us. But it did matter. All she wanted was that piece of paper. The more she thought about it, the more heart-wrenching it became. After hanging up the phone, she sent a message to John. I'm a bit sad. Let's break up for a short while. However, she didn't have much time to be sad. She had an appointment with a client to discuss a big deal. If she could clinch it, her say in the company would increase significantly. They had initially reached an agreement at the office desk, but the client changed their mind at the dinner table and insisted that she finish the wine in front of her. There was nothing she could do but drink glass after glass. Finally, the client was satisfied, but she ended up squatting in the bathroom, vomiting for a long time. After seeing off the client, in the pouring rain, she held an umbrella and tried to hail a cab by the roadside. A black Maybach stopped in front of her. The window rolled down, revealing a very familiar face. Get in. I'll take you home. She was slightly stunned. David, why are you here? He opened the passenger side door and helped her in, then let out a cold snort, seemingly extremely dissatisfied. Lucy, you clearly promised to come to me. But you haven't contacted me for a full 273 hours. I'm impatient. Since you didn't come to me, I came to look for you. She had drunk quite a bit today and was starting to feel dizzy. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll definitely remember to find you next time. David didn't say anything. Leaned over to fasten her seatbelt. As he got closer, he smelled the alcohol on her. How much did you drink? She thought for a moment and showed him a number with her fingers. Lucy, are you crazy? David frowned tightly. Drinking so much and planning to go home alone. Don't you know how dangerous that is? Jane was supposed to pick me up, but her car broke down on the way. I had no choice but to go home by myself. What about John? Why didn't you let him take you home? She rested her head on the seatbelt, tilted her head, and said lazily, he won't come. Not coming. David was a bit angry. Is he just a decorative boyfriend? What a jerk. Saying that, David took out his phone and pretended to call John. She was puzzled. What are you doing? David replied matter-of-factly. I feel sorry for you. So of course I have to scold him for you. She was stunned for a moment. He wanted to scold John. Someone trying to steal her from John. Wanted to scold John. Wasn't he being a bit too presumptuous? She quickly stopped him. I don't want to see John right now. He doesn't like me going to such occasions or my job. He hopes he'll quit and be a housewife after marriage. So if I call him at this time, even if he comes, hell, just lecture me. I find him annoying. David blinked his eyes and obediently turned off the screen. So, are you going to quit your job? Do you think I'm the kind of person who's going to quit after struggling so hard to get orders and establish myself in the company? David was stunned for a moment and didn't say anything more. He just adjusted his wire-rimmed glasses and stepped on the accelerator. She half closed her eyes and saw through the rear-view mirror that the corner of his lips was slightly curved, with a barely contained smile. David. What are you smiling at? The rain was pouring down, and the whole city was enveloped in the heavy rain curtain. David parked the car on the lawn of a nearby manor and suddenly turned to ask her. Lucy, you're pretending, right? Pretending to love John. But actually you don't. She thought she had done a good job of pretending. At least she had fooled John. But unexpectedly, David had seen through her. Once a person gets drunk, their thinking becomes straightforward, and they urgently want to take off the mask of pretense. TSK. You found me out. It was a summer night. It was sweltering outside, but the air conditioning in the car was just right. She unbuckled her seatbelt and leaned towards David. The light from the street lamp by the lawn shone through the car window. David Brown looked up at me. His fair cheeks flushed with a faint pink, like a freshly ripened peach. Now, let's talk about you, I said, tapping his chin lightly and firmly with my index finger. David, are you just playing around with me? Is it more exciting to be with your buddy's girlfriend? Satisfying the special fetish of a playboy like you. The flirtatious look on David's face vanished. Ha! He grabbed my hand and scoffed. So this is how you think of me, babe. Why wouldn't I go after someone else's girlfriend? David took my finger into his mouth. His eyes darkening. Isn't it because I like you, babe? The car fell silent for a moment. Only our rapid breaths audible. He gently licked my fingertip with his tongue and repeated, Lucy Smith, I like you. Perhaps the heavy rain outside washed away my reason. Or perhaps David's loving gaze made me indulge for a moment. I reached out and pressed my hand against his belt. David, want to give it a try? The air conditioning was set to the lowest, but the car was still unbearably hot. David, feeling the heat, threw all his clothes onto the passenger seat. Thunder rumbled, and rain poured down. Moisture seeped through the slightly open window, splashing onto me. Amidst the turbulence, I clung tightly to the steering wheel to steady myself. But David couldn't stand to see me like that. He insisted I put all my weight on him. Babe, don't hold back. Later, as the rain eased, I lay in David's arms, breathing heavily. my hair damp with sweat. He pointed to a light in the manor. Babe, I have a lively little cat at home. Want to go see it? As if possessed. I nodded and clung tightly to his neck all the way. I don't remember if the cat was energetic, but David certainly was full of energy. The next morning, when I woke up and looked at the sleeping David, my mind was a blank. The ancients said alcohol causes trouble. And they weren't wrong. I quietly put on my clothes and went back to the office. As soon as I entered the company, my dad called me to his office. Without any pleasantries, he bluntly asked me, "Isn't John Doe marrying you anymore?" He said it's postponed for a year. The Doe family is our company's major client. If you can't even help solidify the relationship with the Doe family, what use are you? He didn't praise me for yesterday's big deal. Instead, he told me that the only value a girl has to the family is through marriage alliances. He added, "I previously said that if you married John, I'd give you company shares, but I thought about it, marriage can end in divorce. So, I'll give it to you after you have a son." I was stunned. "Dad. Didn't you say?" But my dad impatiently interrupted me. "It's settled. Don't think about the company. It's all your brother's. Anyway, the Doe family and I have discussed it'll resign after marriage. For the first time in my life, I skipped work. I sat on a stone bench in the park, spacing out for a while, then opened the chat with John. The last message was from a few days ago when I said to him, feeling a bit sad, "Let's break up temporarily." After that, I didn't chat with him anymore. And he didn't reach out to me. I clicked on his social media feed. His latest post was a 9-photo grid, location tagged in New Zealand. I clicked and zoomed in on each one, although John posted only solo photos. In the reflection of his sunglasses, I saw the figure of a junior classmate. No wonder he hasn't been coming to see me. He's been busy traveling abroad with that junior classmate. Thinking about my dad's words, I suddenly felt exhausted. I sent John a formal breakup message, then sat alone on the bench, watching the sunset. As dusk fell, someone knelt down in front of me. David rested his face on my knees, his voice muffled. "Babe, I almost thought you didn't want me anymore." I reached out to him. "David, hold me." He paused for a moment, then opened his arms and hugged me. A bit uneasy. "Babe, what's wrong?" I stayed in his embrace for a while, then hooked my arms around his neck and pressed my lips to his collarbone. "I broke up with John. Now I want to see your cat. Is that okay?" David Brown looked at me in astonishment. Then a flash of ecstasy lit up his eyes. Without asking further, he carried me to the car. Halfway there, it started raining again. He pressed me against his chest, so I barely got wet, but his shirt was soaked by the fine drizzle. After we got home, David Brown took a quick shower. The orange cat lay obediently on my arm. I stroked its head, and it purred contentedly. Just then, David's phone rang. Someone sent a message in the group chat. "John Doe. John, are you back in the country?" John replied instantly. "Just got back. That junior is so clingy, taking her out was a total pain. I'm dumping her." I was too lazy to keep reading, but then my name popped up in the conversation. "John. The first just saw Lucy Smith in the park." "John. Yo, bro. You're the best, spotting Lucy and giving me a heads up." "No. John. The first saw Lucy Smith with a guy, and they looked super intimate." "Huh. Someone saw me with David." I suddenly got intrigued and stared at the phone screen, eager to see John's reaction. He sent a laughing emoji. "John. Bro. You must be seeing things. Everyone knows my Lucy is crazy about me, no way she'd be with another guy." He even declared, even if I told her to find another man, she'd just wait at home for me. A few others joined in. If Lucy could ever be with someone else, I'll live stream washing my hair upside down. I'll bark like a dog. I'll call her dad. Amid all that, one message stood out. "John. Lucy is a great girl, stop hurting her." If she ever leaves, you'll regret it. John quickly responded. Relax. I'm over that, Junior. Lucy's still the best. And I'll treat her right. He wrapped it up nicely. Everyone, move on. It's gotta be a case of mistaken identity. What the hell? Is John nuts? Didn't I break up with him? Did he block my messages? Lucy, what are you looking at so intently? David came out after his shower. He was wrapped only in a white towel. His short hair dripping water that slid down his chiseled face, swirled over his defined collarbone, landed on his sculpted abs, and vanished down his Adonis belt. Just a hilarious conversation, I said, setting the cat aside. I'm going to shower too. Lucy, I don't have any girls' clothes here. No worries. I found something that works. After showering, I slipped into David's white shirt. It was oversized and loose, carrying a hint of his cedar scent. David looked stunned at first. Then his gaze deepened. I pointed to my damp hair. Mind helping me dry it? Warm air hummed from the hairdryer as David gently ran his fingers through my hair, the strands drying slowly. Later, I forgot who started it, but the hairdryer crashed to the floor. Lucy. No, when I first saw you, David murmured, tying a black veil over my eyes. It was in a conference room. I'd just joined the company for training and heard about this badass VP next door named Lucy Smith. I watched you at the negotiation table, cool, logical, breaking down every angle, no matter what they threw at you. You nailed it in a few words. Then you pushed the papers, smirked, and they signed like lambs. He bit my shoulder hard. That's when I got hooked. Later, I heard about you from John Doe. Weird, his version was nothing like mine. I wondered, did you change? Or are you two different people? David's lips teased everywhere, and with my sight gone, every other sense sharpened, I gasped helplessly. He brushed my ear and coaxed softly. Lucy. Hold me tight. Ding. A message notification sounded. It was my phone ringing. We ignored it. Ding. Ding. Not sure who sent multiple messages. David Brown hugged me from behind. Lucy, do you want to check the messages? No. At that moment, I didn't want to be disturbed by anyone. In the darkness, I felt him gently lift me up and lean in. The phone ringtone chose that an opportune time to ring. When it rang the first time, David and I ignored it. He was moving with me in the throes of passion. When it rang the second time, I grew impatient and lost control of my strength, scratching a red mark on David's back. It hurt him enough to let out a groan. When it rang the third time, David finally couldn't take it anymore. Feeling lighter, he got up to grab my phone. He intended to mute it, but after seeing the caller ID, he paused slightly. Lucy, your ex-boyfriend is calling. Do you want to answer? Not sure what came over me, or perhaps some unknown emotion was at play. I reached out my hand, handed over, along with the phone. He gave himself to me. I couldn't see anything, so David put it on speaker for me. Lucy, why aren't you replying to messages? You used to respond instantly before. David started to act up, his movements growing fiercer. I struggled to speak. Didn't we break up? What do you want? He automatically skipped the first part. I'm back from abroad. Have breakfast with me tomorrow morning. David pressed his ear to my chest, and I felt my heart pounding wildly. All I could answer John Doe with was panting. John heard it too, but this time, he didn't react as strongly as before. Instead, he laughed and asked, Lucy, have you started working out? Are you trying to get a better body for me? As if remembering something, John teased. Haven't properly greeted you. Lucy, how have you been lately? Haven't slept with anyone else, have you? The words were a question, but his tone was certain. David stopped moving, his ear still pressed to my chest, his puppy dog eyes gazing at me pitifully. I gently traced his eyebrows, forcing my breathing to steady. Only you made me sleep. He kept me up all night. There was silence on the other end for a moment. John suddenly burst out laughing. Ha 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 ha, Lucy. You're so cute. Haven't seen you in days. You've become so funny. Yet hearing this, David smiled with eyes crinkling. He pressed close to my ear. His voice low and smooth. Lucy, are you complimenting me? Then the intensity surged even more. I bit his neck and almost screamed out loud. John finally stopped laughing. He asked, Lucy, what fitness equipment are you using? Why does it take so much effort? Is it a power rack or a bench press? I hugged David, barely managing to answer. It's a younger brother. Now John got a bit annoyed. He lowered his voice, saying coldly, Lucy, a joke is only funny once. Repeating it too much is boring. I was so provoked by David Brown that I sobbed audibly. But I'm not joking. John Doe still didn't fully believe me. Lucy, don't tell me you're really sleeping with someone else. He talked so much. I really didn't have the energy to answer him. My voice was already tinged with sobs. David, slow down. There was another moment of silence. Then John sighed. Lucy, are you jealous because of that schoolgirl? I've already cut ties with her. Don't worry. You don't have to use David to provoke me. What's David's status? He knows you're my girlfriend. How could he be with you? Good girl. Lucy, if you want to work out, do it properly. Don't gasp like this. And don't lie to me with someone else. David finally couldn't stand it anymore. Lucy, he's so noisy. I can't take it. He impatiently picked up the phone while his movements on me continued. There's no one else. We're all on the same side. This time. There was only a second of silence on the other end of the phone. Then John's furious shout rang out. David, are you fucking crazy? John arrived half an hour later. Lucy and David weren't done yet. He knocked on the door downstairs loudly. But neither of us paid attention. Another half an hour passed. John kicked the door wildly with his foot and then grimaced in pain. Another half an hour later. John cursed downstairs for a long time and his voice became hoarse. Lucy and David had also moved their battlefield to the bath to be. 2 hours later. David helped Lucy put on her clothes and told the butler to open the door. As soon as John came up, he punched David. David, are you fucking out of your mind? David wiped the corner of his mouth with the back of his hand. Why are you yelling at me? Do you think I'd have this chance if Lucy didn't like me? John was completely enraged. David, why do you have to be the other man? David looked utterly confused. But didn't Lucy break up with you? John, she said that out of jealousy to get my attention. David shook his head with a TSK. John, after knowing you for so long, I just found out today that you're so confident. John felt that words couldn't defeat David. So he chose fists. As long as John didn't hit David's face, David wouldn't fight back. He would just look at Lucy pitifully and say, Lucy, it hurts. John got even angrier. This time, his fist landed directly on David's face. David turned his head to avoid it. I said, don't hit my face. What if Lucy doesn't like me because my face looks bad later? I'm hitting you. You fucking green tea. John. Try to hit me again. David got a bit annoyed. Don't force me to fight back. John was so angry that he said, I'll hit you. David sighed softly. Well, no one will take care of you if you get hurt. So you can hit people as you like. I'm different. If I get hurt, Lucy will feel bad. This actually worked a bit. John slowly put down his hand and turned to look at Lucy with blood-red eyes. Lucy, do you feel bad for me or for him? Lucy asked blankly in return. Dude, you don't have a single scratch on you. Why should I feel bad for you? Smack. John Doe grabbed David Brown's hand and gave himself a hard slap on the left cheek. David and I looked at each other, both seeing shock in each other's eyes. With his swollen left cheek, he asked me, Lucy, what about now? Now that I'm hurt, do you feel sorry for me or for him? I quickly rushed over and held David's hand. Does it hurt? Do you want me to blow on it for you? John flew into a rage. Lucy, get it straight. I'm your boyfriend. Oh, well, let me tell you. We've broken up. I blinked my eyes. Besides, wasn't it you who told me to find another man? Yeah, David chimed in beside me. And it was also you who suggested I marry Lucy. Later, John and David fought so fiercely that the situation got out of control for a moment. Fortunately, the bodyguards in the manor showed up in time and managed to separate the two of them. Both of them were injured. David kept whining about the pain and asked me to apply medicine for him. But I clearly saw that John had more wounds on his body. Before John was dragged away, he shouted at me, Lucy, do you think David really likes you? He just wants a yes man. What David might want is not a yes man, but a teacher. He always asks me professional knowledge and holds a thick stack of notebooks for me to answer his questions. There were many moments when I thought David was looking for a free tutor. But then I thought, the scion of the Brown family shouldn't be short of that little money. John firmly believes that I'm deeply in love with him and is convinced that I'm with David just out of jealousy. He sends me messages every day. Lucy, why are you so self-depraved? Are you sleeping with someone you don't love just to anger me? Let me tell you, it's not you who want to break up. It's me who don't want you anymore. Lucy, if you beg me to take you back now, I might consider it. Actually, you don't have to beg. Just say sorry. Hey. You haven't replied to me for a long time. I'm looking through the commemorative photo album you gave me. Suddenly, I miss you a little. Lucy. Stop being angry. Let's start over. I didn't reply to his messages. John couldn't hold his temper and actually went to talk to my dad about this. My dad raised his hand and gave a slap. Do you know how much the company will lose in a year if we lose the Doe family as a client? I dodged and stood 3 steps away from him. The Brown family can make up for it. Sure enough, my dad was stunned. And then a look of joy appeared on his face. Really, my relationships have never been pure. Besides love, there are also interests involved. One of the conditions for me to agree to date David was a company cooperation. Really, the Brown family has a greater demand. I've calculated that the annual profit can increase by 23. By now, I've seen my dad's true colors. He never really intended to give me the equity. But what does it matter? As long as David really loves me. With the support of the Brown family, I'll always find a way to get what I want. My dad patted me on the shoulder and sighed earnestly. Lucy, you've done a lot for the company. When your younger brother takes over the company in the future, he'll definitely be grateful to you. David once sighed. Sis, you really care about your dad's company. What did I say at that time? Oh, I hooked the corners of my lips and shook my head. No. This is mine. Seeing that bringing my dad into the picture didn't work, John finally calmed down for a while. I heard from a mutual friend that John had been very depressed recently. Last time I went to the bar, a very beautiful girl came to strike up a conversation with him. But John refused without even looking at her. I didn't care at all, focusing solely on handling orders and acquiring equity. Late one night, someone called me. Lucy Smith. I have a fever. It was Jonda's voice, hoarse and nasal. Lucy, why aren't you concerned about me? Back when I had a fever before, you'd always show care. Stay with me during 4 drips. And tell me stories. John, if you're sick, go see a doctor. I'm not one. Lucy, I feel awful right now. Can you come see me? David Brown, woken up mid-sleep, grunted unhappily and hugged me from behind. Lucy, he's disturbing my sleep. Hang up. David Brown, why are you with Lucy Smith at this hour? David didn't even open his eyes. David, I'm sleeping with my girlfriend. What's abnormal about that? I'm not the other man. John tried to speak more, but I already hung up. 2 days later, John actually showed up at my company building. As if that wasn't enough, he had prepared 999 roses piled at the entrance. A crowd had gathered, with some filming on their phones. John held another bouquet, his eyes unusually filled with deep affection. "Lucy, I missed you." People started murmuring. Wow, so romantic. Handsome, rich, and devoted. Being his girlfriend must be wonderful. Whimpering, "I'm so envious." At the company building, I didn't want to make a scene. I rubbed my forehead. "John, how about we talk at the cafe?" "Lucy, you're finally willing to speak properly with me." John paused, then smiled brightly, becoming visibly excited. After just 2 steps, David's voice suddenly came from behind. "Lucy, a word of advice: a smart person doesn't revisit past relationships." I turned around to see David glaring warily at John. "Besides, you promised to take me to the amusement park tonight to watch fireworks." David dragged out the last syllable, looking utterly pitiful. "Hold on. I need to talk with John first." John raised an eyebrow, holding the flowers, and gave David a triumphant smile. David didn't approach further, just stood there with his head down, his hair covering his eyes like a big abandoned dog. That big dog still had the energy to post on social media. "Hey everyone, I'm going in for surgery." Someone quickly commented. "What's wrong? What kind of surgery?" David replied immediately. "Surgery to remove my love obsession." At the cafe, John handed me the rose bouquet. "Lucy, for you." I didn't take it. "John, I'm allergic to rose pollen." John awkwardly pulled his hand back. "Lucy, I'm sorry. I didn't know. But I told you before. The first time you gave me roses. I told you." John panicked. "Lucy, I must not have heard clearly then. Can you give me another chance? I know I did a lot of terrible things in the past, making you heartbroken and sad. It's all my fault. I should have realized sooner you could get hurt." I shook my head. "No, I was never heartbroken or sad." John's expression stiffened. "Lucy, are you kidding? I'm serious. You do your thing, and I let you. Not because I love you too much, but exactly the opposite, just because I don't care." The flowers in John's hand fell to the floor. He stared at me in disbelief, as if this was something utterly incomprehensible. "Lucy, what are you talking about? How could you not love me? If you don't love me, what about those words in your moments?" "Oh, those were just copied. If you don't love me, why have you stayed by my side through thick and thin for so many years?" "Because I want to marry you." "I knew you were just scaring me." "Look, you even want to marry me. How could you not love me?" "My dad said that if I marry you, he'll give me the shares of the branch company." John didn't say a word. The expression on his face was indescribable. He looked like he wanted to cry, and yet he was smiling. After a long while, he held my hand. "Lucy, you're lying to me, right?" I shook my head and replied calmly, "No, I don't cry or make a fuss just because I don't care." His face turned deathly pale, and even his lips lost their color. Well, it makes sense. He thought the girl who had loved him for so many years, the girl whose feelings he thought he could trample on at will, suddenly told him one day that she actually didn't love him. It must feel so frustrating. John still kept asking me to confirm. "So, you really never loved me?" "Yeah. Never. So, it's like this." He let out a low laugh. As he laughed, tears welled up in his eyes. He said, "Lucy, I'd rather you suddenly stopped loving me than never having loved me at all. You make me feel like a joker." "Do you have any other questions?" "One last question. Lucy, you just wanted to play with me and never thought about being with me seriously, right?" I still shook my head. "No. When I first chased you, I thought I'd gradually fall in love with you in the days to come. At least we could respect each other like guests. But 4 months after you agreed to be with me, you secretly found another girl. From that day on, you've just been a walking share of the company to me." That's all. John stared blankly at me, then covered his face with his hands, his voice choking. What about David? Do you love him? All I can say now is that he's more obedient and more suitable than you. In the end. John almost fled in a hurry. Red roses were scattered all over the ground. Hot and gorgeous. Just like my youth in these years. Always bright. Always flamboyant. David was waiting for me at the coffee shop in trance. When he saw me come out, he gave a cold snort. Finished catching up with your ex-boyfriend. I kept walking. If you leave now, you can still catch the fireworks at the amusement park tonight. David immediately followed and took my hand. Sis, don't meet him alone from now on. Okay. Otherwise. It's so pitiful for me to peep at you outside the door all by myself. I stood on tiptoe and ruffled his soft hair. Okay. While watching the fireworks. David posted a status on his social media. The surgery was a success. The love-struck brain has been removed. Now I love her mindlessly.